let's see, what do I start with? I think I just start with efficiency, because that's kind of the root of everything. I just saw a random game of mine. My efficiency is not always perfect, because obviously I have other stuff impacting my decision making. But yeah. Okay, so first thing you should always do, drop the honors or useless tiles. Now, what do you consider a useless tile? Well, in honors, first of all, it's the guess to win tiles, as you say, win tiles that are not yours. Then it's the honors that are Yakuhai. And before that, a win that's the dealer's. Usually, you wanna kind of block the dealer's win earlier than the other stuff. The earlier you drop it, the last chance he pawns it. If a dealer gets a pawn, especially on the east rounds, on the east wind, it's already 2 hands for him, and he just needs like 1 door, and his hand is already like scary. You should fold. So usually in that order, then the honors, then the last tile is your wind, because that's the tile usually others won't keep, and if it's not on the table, then it's probably still drawable. But yeah, usually honors first, and then there is also some special case of terminals. So here I have the 9-man. This one is useful, because obviously it connects to the 7. The 1, so though, it's a bit special, because you see I already have the 3-4. If I get a 2 or 5, the 1 so doesn't really do anything. The only thing it does here is connect for a possible 1, 2, 3, 4. That's like a special block that then you can like get a pair out of the 1 so or the 4 so. It's good for pair hunting. I already have 2 pairs in this hand though, so this 1 so won't last long. I might even drop it before the green dragon. So I did both with the music and I also draw the green dragon. I think I opened this hand, so let me go to a different one. Which hand do I end up as riichi? Would be a good tell. No. Pretty sure I had at least 1 riichi in this game. Maybe I should take a game where I'm not third and actually get 10 pies. I'll probably open this hand. Okay, this is a good example. Again, start with the wins, and you can already see, kind of like the last time, the 3, 4, 1, the 6, 7, 9. So those 9s and 1s are not really useful, I already have a pair, but you can say, okay, they improve to a pure straight. So if I keep them, in theory, in 3 draws, I'll have a pure straight here. I'll talk about values and like Yakus in a bit later. Pure straight is not a good Yaku. Should usually avoid going for it, unless it's like super free. Something I'll cover up when I get to Dora tiles, it's those shiny tiles. And currently I do prioritize them a bit over the 1 bamboo, just in case I have a straight here. The 1 bamboo, it's also fine to just drop the pins instead. The pure straight is very unlikely. So when you have 2 pairs in your hand, it's a good spot, because then if one of them becomes a triplet, then the other one can be used as a pair. You always want to have at least 1 pair. 2 pairs though is a bit more ideal. Obviously 6 is an upgrade to the 9, 7, 9 is like 1 block, and 6, 7 is just the upgrade of it. So that's why when you have like a closed tile, so if let's say you have a 9, 8 and a 9, 7, the 9, 7 is stronger because it can upgrade, while even though they're both waiting for 1 tile. And because I had a 9, 7, it could upgrade, and it did, and yeah. This is something I would cover in defense in a bit. You see me dropping the red dragon here. Sometimes you would not drop it and you would keep it as something called the safety tile. Not dropping it means like your hand is better efficiently. You should always like drop the more useless tile if you're trying to go as fast as possible. But a bit later I'll talk about defense, and sometimes you want to keep a tile, even though like it's not really useful. You could use it if someone is suddenly threatening you by calling riichi or whatever. Now, the usual time for finishing a hand is around the 2nd row. if you're finishing after that, like right now, you need to start kind of thinking about defense or giving up your hand. Yeah, I'll cover it a bit more in a bit, but basically there is a spot like in this round. I know someone is a tenpai. There's a good chance even two people is a tenpai, and I'm far. Always like know just how many tiles you're away from tenpai. Like here, if I do it one turn back, it's a bit earlier. I need to finish this sequence, and then another sequence, or this guy to get pair, or this guy to get a pair. So I'm 3 tiles away. That's really far, and I need 3 pretty specific tiles. So what instead I do here, and that's not something you'll notice a lot of the time, but it's a fun yaku to go for. Notice how all the tiles I've dropped have been terminals and honors. If you're this late, and you should not go for it at another point. Never like think about this yaku unless you're this late. If you're this late and somehow this is your drop pile, and you have more safe terminals and honors to push, you should just drop them, because then you can get manganese draw. Don't think I do get it here, but in theory I have enough tiles to get it. I think what's her name, Hayasaka or something, she just shumos. Yeah, Shitsumus. I want to show a special block that I want to talk about. I'll wait till see a hand it naturally occurred in, or maybe a hand where I made it. Yeah, not gonna happen this hand. Okay, it happened at this time. Okay. Look at the 9-8-7 right now, it's just the knight and 7. So we have this 2-4-6. Now this is a special block, because kind of like, let's say one of those 3-4s, it's a side block. It can have 2 different tiles and finish it. Like this 3-4 can get 2 and 5, and then it's efficient sequence. But this 2-4-6 can get both 5 and the 3 and become efficient sequence. Basically it has the same speed as the other block, but it requires more tiles. So here I need 3 tiles to maintain this block, and here I only need 2 tiles to maintain a block. So 3-4 is better, but if you have like a closed weight, like I had here, like a 4-6 or a 2-4, and you get this is a very good block. The same thing with this like 4-6 bamboo. If I draw an 8 or a 2 bamboo here, it's a good block that I would probably like to keep. There is a positive and a problem to it. One of the problems, because if it's more tiles, it's a bit harder to keep in hand. Sometimes you have to cut it, because you just don't have enough tiles to keep in hand. The other problem, if you're finishing on that block, it's not going to be pinfu. A lot of times you rather aim for pinfu, and pinfu means the end result needs to be a 2-sided weight. And that means the end result might not be a 2-sided weight. The good thing though, something I'll cover up in defense, this kind of block allows for good Suji traps. I'll explain Suji a bit later, but you should just need to know that if I drop the 6 right now, and let's say I riichi waiting for the 3 pin, that's a trap. Some players will have like a defense strategy to it, and just try to think that the 3 pin is safe, and it would not be safe. Okay, I actually end up getting riichi here, so it's good to show. Another thing, you should always look at your yakus. I'll go over to it more in a bit, but notice how this hand is close to all simples. So sometimes you might just want to drop the 9 pin, but I end up just dropping the lone tile. Now, lone tiles can be really strong, but if you have blocks, a lot of times it's just better to keep the blocks. Like here, if you do the 5 block method, which is like, in a finished hand, you need a pair and 4 blocks. So then you just need to count your blocks. So let's say this is 1 block, 4-6-8 bamboo. This is another block, 9-8-7, a finished one. This is the third block, 2-4-6 pin. And then I have 2 more blocks here on the 3-3-4-4. Now this 3-3-4-4 could be like a triplet and a pair. It could be 2 sequences. I still don't know. A pair is like usually something you think about only at the end. A lot of tiles can become a pair by just getting 1 draw. But getting like a sequence is 3 specific tiles. So I do end up dropping the 3, and it's important here not dropping the 6, dropping the 9 to enable the all simples, and this is 1 away. bit later I'll talk about open hands. And on an open hand standpoint, sometimes you would like to pawn here or chi, because this hand is not very fast. The only things right now that would get me to Tempai is 5 bamboo, 7 bamboo, 4 man or 3 man. That's very bad. There is upgrades though, so I might just draw some tiles that make it better. Like let's say I draw a pair on one of the bamboos, it would be an upgrade. I can draw 2 or 5, it would be an upgrade. There isn't really a pin tile that right now would be accurate. That's why I keep dropping them.
Riichi.
So yeah, I do end up on it, and I riichi hoping the Suji trap would work. Did it work? Did I just... Yeah, it did work. That's good. Okay, so I want to talk about some blocks and their upgrades. So we have this 6-7 here, right? 6-7 waits for 5 and 8. So that's great. And a normal side block, side weight. But notice how it has a friend to it, the other 7 man. So this is an upgraded version of the block, because either we can draw a 7 and then it's a triplet. We can draw a 5 or an 8 and then it's a full sequence. Or I can just drop the 6 and it's our pair. So this block works for many different stuff. And another block I'd like to talk about is this 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't look at this 2 bamboo for a second. Just try to keep it out of your mind. And when you have a 4, 5, 6, 7, it's not just one sequence and one extra tile, because the chance of the sequence to become 2 sequences is a lot bigger. So when I have a 4, 5, 6, 7, let's say I had a... let's just... I can't really... Yeah, it won't show. But let's just say the 7 bamboo is not related to them, okay? So the 7 bamboo, to become some kind of a sequence, you need to either draw 5, 6, 8, 9, or the 7 to make some kind of like a sequence with it. And some of them would be bad, right? Obviously, we want to have side sequences, so we want to draw next to this 6 or an 8. But when you have a 4, 5, 6, 7, like this, then you have the 8, which upgrades it to a 3-sided sequence. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 would need either 3, 6, or 9 to finish it. So it could be for a really good weight. You can just get the 7 or the 4 to make it a sequence and a pair. You can get the 6 or 5 to make it into a finished sequence and then a side weight. Like if I have a 6 here, it will be 4, 5, 6 and then 6, 7. And if I draw a 5, it will be 5, 6, 7 and then the 4, 5. And the other upgrade, just like the 8, would be the 3 bamboo, making for a triple-sided weight. And there is some weaker upgrades, which is this 2 bamboo or a 9 bamboo, which force kind of a bad weight. But as you see, every tile here, when I have this, aside from 1 bamboo, makes for another block. So this might look like 1 block, but this very easily upgrades into 2 blocks. And there is something a bit similar to this kind of block. Let's see if I ever get to it. I probably do here. No, I don't.
失礼、ロン。ジュン。
Okay, I did get it here. So, you see this 2, 3, 4 bamboo. I'll even do it a bit later. I dropped the 5 here. Like, you might think, oh, Peleg is crazy dropping a 5. That's such a good tile. So, this 2, 3, 4 is very similar to, like, let's say we had a 4, 5, 6, 7. Because it's one finished sequence, the 2, 3, 4, and then the 3 bamboo, which gets upgraded. It's not a normal 3 bamboo. A normal 3 bamboo would be like, okay, I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to become a block. You kind of want the 2 or the 4. But when you have this 2, 3, 3, 4, every upgrade is gonna end up a side weight, and there is more upgrades. So a bit unlike the 4, 5, 6, 7, here there is only good upgrades, but a bit less upgrades. So this is a really good block for Pinfu, and even more to getting Ipeko. Probably can think about like, just draw 4 and 2, and that's a pure double sequence Ipeko. So when you have this 2, 3, 4, you have the 1 bamboo, upgrading it into a 1, 2, 3, and then a 3, 4. You have the 2 bamboo, upgrading it into a 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, which gives it a pure double sequence chance. 3 bamboo does not really upgrade, it makes it into a pair and a sequence. It won't be really that good of a pair, it's not a big upgrade. The 4 bamboo as well upgrades it. And the 5 bamboo. So we have 4 different tiles instead of 2 that upgrade it into a finished sequence and another 2-sided sequence. So that's a lot better than a lone 3 bamboo. And we have a chance of pure double sequence. This is another really good block. Also, regarding pairs, if you have 4 pairs in your hand, it's kind of like in this picture. If you have 4 pairs in your hand, you should think about 7 pairs. If you have 5 pairs in your hand, you should go for 7 pairs. So just think about 7 pairs, don't think about the rest of your hand. If you have 3 pairs, don't even think about 7 pairs. So in this situation, I do have 7 pairs in my mind because I have 4 of them. So that's why I dropped the 6 pin, right? Like you could say just drop one of your pairs. Too many pairs in a hand that's not pair hand is bad. But in this situation, I'm like, maybe next draw is a pair. You need to keep it in mind. Don't just drop your pairs. But here, because one of the blocks finishes, and right now I am 1 away from tenpai, then you don't really need to think about pairs. Because the pairs, since you only have 4, it's 2 away from tenpai. While your other side of the hand, which is riichi and whatever other yakus it gets, is 1 away. So you can abandon pairs. And that's the faster option here. It's either between dropping 3 bamboo and 5 men. But the 3 bamboo allows the upgrade. Like right now, I could get to tenpai by drawing one of these triplets, like this 3 pin, or the 2 man, or finishing this 3-6. But because I have this 3 bamboo, it hands for upgrades. If I do get the 1, 2, 4, or 5 bamboo, then I can make this hand into a hand with a better weight, and a chance for pinful. That's what I'm looking for here. At the same time, I'm still keeping the 1 away of just having those 2 pairs. If one of them becomes a triplet, or these 4 5 ends, I'm in tenpai. Let's see how long this stage lasts.
Long.
Okay, I just never got her. But usually when you have like what I had early, you should probably get tenpai first. Okay, I think I'll go back to sequences in a bit. I do wanna talk about defense. We can, about efficiency, I mean. We can talk about efficiency a bit later. Let's look at the time that someone reached. Oh, it's this round. Yeah, okay. Usually with this hand, especially someone like Choco, would probably be very pawn happy, which is the correct thing to do. We'll talk about open hands a bit more later. But if you just draw bad stuff, you should not continue it too far. This hand is still, I think it's 3 away. Now, when you talk about defense, the first question you have to ask yourself is when. And I'll show right now a situation when it's a pretty good option. In a bit she'll get tenpai. That's a tenpai. Okay. You notice she's the dealer. Dealer means a hand are worth 1.5x more. That's really scary. It means whatever hand you're going for, her hand will likely be stronger. And by a lot. Like, you can get hit right now by a run that could end your game. She could right now run Mangan me very easily, and that's minus 12k points. It's very hard to recover from. So, when should I defend? When someone is in tenpai, you know what, I'll put it in notepad so it will be a bit easier to see. Let me put the source for this notepad. So we want to defend when someone is in tenpai and we are not. That's like the basic idea. Right now his hand is ready, we are not. So the chances we finish our hand without dealing into him are low. Now how far you want to be? Usually 2 away. So let's say right now I was 1 away from tenpai. I might try to fight him. Usually though, you should not fight the dealer. If the dealer, especially early, just says something like riichi, give him the floor. Fighting him is usually not very smart. You'll end up, even if you end up winning, you're risking too much. Basically, like defending is saying myself, by continuing this hand, I risk so much that it's not worth the amount I might gain. Now, there is other situations though you might want to defend. I'll explain how to defend it a bit, but first I want to say when. Let's try to look at someone having a possibly dangerous hand. Not here. This is a good spot.
Riichi. Pong. 勝つためだよ.
So here, not only this dude, I don't know his name, said riichi. Also, the guy in 4th place called pawn on the triplet of 2 bamboo. You can see I'm 1 away here for riichi pinful. Something that might be very poke. I also have an upgrade, I can extend the Dora. This is a good hand. And it's 1 away, but the correct idea here is to defend. Because not only the riichi said, the dealer said riichi, but someone showed possible Mahjong. You see there is on the board these 3 Dora tiles. That means his hand is minimum 7.7k points. That's minimum. He might have even more. Probably not, because for that he will need more Dora. I don't think he could get much other Yakus with the open hand. But yeah, starting point like almost 8k, that's scary. Now, he's not a tenpai. I know he's probably not a tenpai. There is a chance he's close to tenpai. There is a chance maybe he's tenpai. I can't know for sure. But even if the dude on the right would not riichi, I would be scared of this pawn. Could be on every tile, could be multiple calls. If you know someone has a minimum like of 8k points, then even if he's not tenpai, you already want to start defending, just in case. Because when you're defending, you want to make sure when you're defending, you're also defending against people that have stronger hands than you. So if I had also a very big hand, I might try to fight it. But because I know my hand is not that big, and I know his hand is 100% big, there is no like versus a riichi. Like you don't know if the riichi is gonna be like 1k points or 8k points. But versus this, you know it starts from 8k. So me trying to fight it is never gonna be very wise. So even if I probably did get temper here, I doubt I would chase. So I'm probably gonna start defending. I started one of my safe tile, I'll talk about it in a bit. And I already need, so this south tile might not be that safe, so I went with a safer tile. So yeah, I'm just folding. Also when you're defending, it's very important to be in a good spot. Like let's say I was in 4th place and this would be south 4, I would naturally push. But because I'm in a nice spot, I'm 2nd place, I don't really need, and it's only east 4. As long as it's not late and you're like last place, you don't need to make miracles. Just play safe, play smart, and when you think someone has a better chance, like when you think it's just not worth the risk, because either they have a big hand or an already ready hand, and you don't, just don't take the risk. It's the basic idea of defense. Now, how do you defend? Let's go turn back here. So here someone just called riichi, someone just called pawn. The riichi tile was taken, but he is in riichi, you can see by the stick. Wait, does it still show on screen? Yeah, I'll take the notepad off. So the first idea of defense is you want to drop tiles that the person you're defending against already dropped, because if they were waiting onto the tile, it would be furitan, meaning they can taunt you. So, for example, versus this dealer here, this 9 bamboo is safe. He already dropped it. It's not possible for him to run me on this tile. Now, it is possible for the other 2 players to run me on it. So why do I think this 9 bamboo is safe? Because of the 6 bamboo. that the other scary guy dropped. It's something that's called Suji. So I'll go over Suji right now. Let's say, bring up the notepad again actually. Let's say I have this 7-8, right? 7-8 bamboo. That's great. It waits for 6 and 9 bamboo. So let's say I have already dropped in the past the 6 bamboo. So I'll be in full return, right? If I did the riichi right now waiting for the 6 and 9, and I dropped the 6 before, I'm in full return, meaning I can't run on the 9 as well. Both the 6 and the 9 are blocked. When you're in full return, all of your win tiles are blocked, and your only option is sumo. So if someone did drop the 6, that means 9 will be full return for him. But you can say, okay, Peleg, that's just if he had this 7-8 block. Now ask yourself, what's the other way the 9 bamboo could be his winning tile? Well, there isn't another sequence. I can't really do an 8 and a 10. That's not a real tile. The 9 and 7, the 7-9 would wait for the 8. The 8-9 would wait for the 7. The only other way of waiting for the 9 is if you have something like this. 2 9 bamboos in his hand and he's waiting for the third. Or if he has 1 9 bamboo in his hand and he needs a third, so he's waiting for the second. The idea of Suji is saying to yourself, okay, usually the opponent would not go for a wait like this. You would not want this hand to end like that. It's not a good spot for your hand. You want to have the 7-8. And because most of the hands want the 7-8 and to end up as it, you can guess that the enemy's weight is probably gonna be double-sided, triple-sided. It's not gonna be one-sided or a pair weight. And because of that, you make an assumption that the person would be in full return if one of those tiles dropped. Now, the 9 bamboo is a bit of an extreme here, because the 9 bamboo only works in a pair or a triplet weight. But let's say a different situation. Let's say I drop this 4 manzu, and I have this, and then someone riichi, and then a riichi, okay? So people say, okay, you drop this 4 manzu, I know there is a possible 5-6 block, right? Let's accept this. So I'm gonna say, and a 2-3 block that accept it. Those are like the 2-sided blocks, like this 5-6 is with 4 and 7, and this 2-3 accept 1 and 4. So I can say to myself, if he drops this 4, that means, assuming it has a 2-sided weight, that the 7 is full return. And if he has a 2-3, then the 1 is full return. So anytime he has one of those 2 blocks, so, and because he dropped this 4, I can kind of assume the 7 and the 1 are safe. So I can be like, okay, I'll drop 1 and 7. Now, you can say though, okay, Peleg, but the 7 actually does not only work like on a triplet, it also works for a 6-8 or a 9-8. So yeah, that's true. That's not a 2-sided weight. Again, something people would not want to end up with it, but sometimes it will be. It's not completely safe. Suji is just semi-safe. But you can see how the 7 is different from the 1, right? The 1 cannot fit into a block like this, just like the 9 did not before. The 1 and 9s would only work in triplets and pairs. That means that the Suji tile is the one like on the 7 and the 1. The terminals 1 are safer. If you have one that's Suji or 9 that's Suji, like I had in the game, that's a lot safer because they have a lot less options to work with. So the Suji would work with anything you could think about. So let's say someone has a 2-3, you might have a 3-4, you might. So if someone has a 2-3, 1-4 would be Suji. If someone had a 3-4, 2-5 would be Suji, naturally. If someone has a 4-5, then 6, 5-6 would be 4-7, 6-7 would be 5-8, and 7-8 would be 6-9. So Suji, you can tell it from 2 different kind of points. Like let's say someone dropped the 5 in this 3-4, I know that the 2 is Suji. And if someone dropped the 5, because of the possibility 7, you can say the 8 is Suji. It's kind of the 3 tiles away from the tile you think about. You can kind of make it as like a method. Someone dropped the 5, 2, 8 are safe. Someone dropped the 4, the 1 and 7 are safe. They are 3 tiles away from each other. But there is one page deeper we can go here. Let's say I just dropped this 8, right? What does this 8 mean? That if someone had the 6, 7, then the 5 would be full written, right? So I want to drop the 5. But you're saying to yourself, Peleg, no, because what about this 3, 4? Someone might still have a pin who had a two-sided weight, and is waiting for the 2 and 5. And he does not care that he dropped the 8 before. This 2, 5 is not full written, and he can very much run me. So, an upgraded version, what if someone dropped the 8 and the 2? And again, he has, well, thinking about 3, 4, and 6, 7. So if he dropped the 8, that means the 5 is safe from the 6, 7 block. And if he dropped the 2 as well, then the 2 is safe from the 3, 4 block. So that means that the 5 is now Tsuji. So to get the middle tile safe, you need 2 tiles, 3 tiles away from it. But to get the outside tiles, let's say I just drop the 5, then the 2, 8 becomes safe. Those middle Tsujis are a bit safer than the outside Tsujis. But both are safe. Both you should go for. Most natural hands work with like Tsuji. So as I said, sometimes in higher reload there would be traps. There would be random weights that the Tsuji won't protect you against. But you don't when you don't have like 100% safe tiles, like tiles that like let's say this 5-man. We know the guy dude in the riichi already dropped it. So that's 100% safe. But so this would be 100% safe, but some of the other tiles would be a bit less. So let's say he dropped the 6, so I know the 9 is a bit safer. So that would be my idea for dropping those 2 9 bamboos, because they are Tsuji for the dude that has the 3 Doras, and they are safe versus the dealer. So because they are safe for the both threatening players, I can drop both of them. Sometimes in ranked and in games you'll see a lot of situation when there is 2 threatening players. Now here, the 9 bamboo is still probably safe. It's only not safe to the highest Saka, and maybe on the very unlikely chance that this dude on the left has a pair weight on it. But I dropped the 2-man instead. Why? You know how we talked about Furitan? Well, Furitan means when you already drop the tile, you can turn on it. So naturally, he dropped the 2-man, that means he can turn on it. But when you're doing a riichi, then you can skip run. Now, you know how you're doing a riichi and sometimes there is a run button. What happens if you press skip? Well, if you press skip, then you're forever Furitan. You can't run anymore. They made that so when someone drops a tile after the riichi, if it was not run, everybody can say, okay, this tile is safe as well. So when someone riichis, it's not just the tile they already dropped, like all the ones we dropped here. I want to like do this, but then it will just keep the game. So like not only these tiles, but also all the tiles that have been dropped after the riichi. Now sometimes, just like what happened here, the thing it pressed riichi with will disappear. You might need to like think for yourself. Don't be like, okay, whatever's after the riichi stick. I know the riichi was on this turn, so I know this 1 pin is safe, for example. So on that idea, because the dude on the left here dropped the 2-man, I can be like, okay, this 2 is safe against everyone. Even the blondie here, which I don't remember, Mayasaka or whatever. Also, she can turn on it. And it's not because she's in riichi, but even if you're not in riichi, if you're having a ready hand and you can run on someone and you pass the run, then you will be Furitan for the for next turn, like until it's your turn again. It's like temporary Furitan. If I would had like an open hand and I skipped a run, it would be temporary Furitan until it's my turn again. It's a bit less hurtful than the riichi, but also something it kind of protects. So always when someone dropped a tile before you, you can tell yourself, if I drop it next, like I did here, it's 100% safe. This tile can't deal into anyone. Someone might pawn it, someone might cheat, someone might can it, but it will never be a deal-in. I guess someone can't can it because one of them already dropped, but my main idea is if someone dropped a tile before you, you can also drop it 100% safe against everyone. Even though I know this 9 bamboo is probably safe, I want to drop this now. Because maybe in some reason those blondie gets 10 pi later, and then this 2-man would not be safe against her. As you can see, it has a 3-sided weight, this dealer. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. As I talked before, it creates a 3-sided weight on the 3-pin, 6-pin, and 9-pin. If I was just discarding what I draw and kept my random tenpai, I would deal into a hand that I can tell you is riichi, is pinfu, it's Dora 2, and before we even go into Urodora, that's already 11.6k points. Would be game over for me. Good idea I defended. I knew my hand did not have much value. Their hand might have the value. Also a good thing to know, if you don't have any shiny tiles in your hand, and they're not on the board, then they're in someone's hand. Just like in this case, 3 on the dude on the left, 2 on the right. Now, let's talk about other safe tiles. So, we talked about Suji, let's talk about honor tiles. You see the south tile, right? It's not safe currently. Someone might be able to use it, but honor tiles are kind of different than normal tiles. That's also why we drop them first. Can an honor tile become part of a sequence? No, it can't. But can an honor tile become part of a pair or triplet? Yeah. So basically, this 9 bamboo and this south are kind of the same tile. They can only work in pairs and triplets. Now, the honors are sometimes a bit scarier than those like super sujis, those terminal sujis, because they are also connected to value. Let's say someone was sitting on the south round, then if I do drop this out and it deals in, the triplet also means 1 extra hand for him. And at the same time, you can also say honors are usually the gateway for bigger hands, like half flush, all honors, whatever. Every big hand usually starts with some honor tiles. So, as much as the honor tiles might look scary, in the end, they're pretty safe. Even if you don't see any drop yet. Like, even if I didn't see here, this honor tile would be one of the safer tiles in their hand. It's always safer than those random middle tiles you're not sure about. The reason you're not sure about is because they're gonna likely deal in. Same with... No, Discreet Dragon was 100% safe. So, there is a... Like, if you have an honor tile that all the you can see all the 3 other players have dropped, then the style only deals into 13 offense, and you should never defend against 13 offense. So, that's always 100% safe. I dropped a 5 here. Tell you why. Because it was just dropped. But, another thing you could say, sometimes when you're defending against 2 players, you need to think to yourself, who am I more scared out of? Usually it would be the dealer. The dealer is a lot more scarier. If I have to defend against only 1 player, like let's say I drop this 5 now, this 5 is safe against the dealer, but it's not safe against the guy with the 2 bamboo pawn. But I tell to myself, the dealer is scarier. The dealer I know has a ready hand. Well, I can't say the same for the dude with the 2 bamboo pawn. I'm thinking his hand is probably ready, but as we see right here, it's not. Sometimes people's hands are just a mess, they're not ready. So, but when someone called riichi, 100% they're tenpai, they can't lie about that. So sometimes you would want to just defend against 1 guy. If you are stuck in that kind of situation, just defend against someone that's scarier, that you're a bit more concerned about running. In this situation, I did have a better option, because it dropped the 5, so it means it's 100% safe. And it just sumos it. A lot of times when you defend, if the opponent has a good weight, you will sumo it. Now, that's great for them. Sumo means more points than the usual one. But that also means that you were not dropped. Like, you should not think... like, if you're chasing every riichi, you have a better chance of getting first. A lot of times. But you should not think about how do I get first, you should think about how do I get not fourth. And to not get fourth, you try to start by not getting round. Let's see if I have another situation when I'm defending. Here I riichi. Here I probably defended. Here I am 2 away. With a pretty nice hand. Could be mixed triple sequence. This is probably gonna be pinfu. Small chance of all simples. But kind of look like it. The notepad, I think I hit it. Wait. Yeah, I hit the notepad right now. You're not supposed to see the notepad right now. I try to bring in the notepad when it's important.
リーチ
So, dealer calls riichi. Similar situation. But I tell to myself, okay, I'm in a ready hand, very ready-handed. It might be good. And you also might think to yourself, if I win versus the dealer here, I can get first place. If the dealer just wins, I probably won't see first place ever again. Still though, you think about it, you need to kind of sometimes defend while not defending. And that's where safe tiles come into play. When I built this hand, I kept this pair. Not only because it's a pair, and pairs are nice to keep, but I already have another pair. But this pair, the North style pair, is a bit special because it's an honor tile. And as we said, honor tiles are usually safe. If you have a pair of honor tiles, if you have a triplet of honor tiles, even better, you have a quadruplet of honor tiles, those are always safe. And what's more, they can work in your hand. This note pair can work in my hand, a note triplet would work in my hand, but in case something goes wrong, I can drop it, know I'm safe, while also maybe even trying to go for tenpai. So right here, when I drop the two note tiles, that's not mean I'm completely forfeiting my hand. Like, this hand is still 2 away. But because I have this, I buy myself 2 safe turns, maybe 1 safe turn if I just had 1 safe tile here. Sometimes you keep a safe tile, even if it's not fitting into your hand, just to give yourself at least 1 turn. And the first turn is always important. You don't want to deal in into Ipatsu. Meaning, like, if the dealer just called riichi and you immediately deal in, it's a lot more value for them. So being safe on the first round is most important. I start by dropping the 2 North tiles, even though I have other tiles that are safe. Like, probably safer tiles, right? Like, this North was not 100% safe. This 4 bamboo was. But I don't drop it. I first drop those North tiles because I try to keep the hand in place. Then I drop the 4 bamboo. And also advance closer to tenpai. A lot of times you can kind of do both things at the same time. It's hard. You should only do it like after you get comfortable with it. But yeah, in higher elo, you try to do both things at the same time. You try to push while also folding. But then, I drop this thing, right? I want to do this hand. It looks crazy. It looks SSK, probably not painful anymore, but it looks good. But I can't drop this tile, can I? Well, I don't think it's safe. I don't think this tile is safe. So, what do? Well, the only play here is to either completely fold by dropping one of your blocks, or to drop one of the pairs. Let's see what I do. I drop the 7. Now, why did I drop the 7? Because she dropped the 4 bamboo. Remember Suji? The 4 means that the 5-6 can't, if she has a 5-6, the 7 won't deal in. And the 7 will only deal into something like a 9-8, 6-8, or other 7s. So I use the Suji method here. Let's see what I do next. Now here I dropped the 2 bamboo. This is not Suji, this is a new tactic. Let's talk about it. Bring back the notepad for this one. Should be very visible. Okay. So look at this. I want to put it in a way we can somehow also see the board. For now. I'll make it bigger in a second. You see the board right now. So what I'm doing, let's take it a turn before I drop this. Yeah, here. So I'm looking at the board, right? You always want to look at the board, see, spot those Sujis, spot those safe tiles. None of my tiles are 100% safe. If they were, I would probably drop them. So instead I have to think about Suji, right? Let's try to search some Sujis. The only middle tile she dropped, the dealer in the riichi, is the 4 bamboo. I only dropped the 7. I don't have the 1 bamboo, which is also Suji, so that's out of the way. If I try to look at the middle tiles, there isn't 2 middle tiles that kind of close out to Suji. Like, she dropped a 3 pin, but without the 9 pin, I can say that the 6 pin is Suji. Same thing with her 8 Su drop, this 8 bamboo. If she would drop the 2 bamboo as well, I can be like, okay, the 5 is Suji. But I don't have that. I don't have any Sujis, I don't have any safe tiles, so what's next? So I look at all the tiles dropped and I spot something. 3 of the 3 bamboos have been dropped. You can see why one on the dude on the right spawned, one on the dude on the left spawned, and one on the tile she dropped. Because of that, I think to myself, okay, how can this 2 bamboo walk into someone's hand? Make this a bit bigger. Well, for the 2 bamboo, it will need to be either by triplets or pairs, right? It could walk into a 1-3, sure. And it can walk into a 3-4. Right? So I have this 3-4 or this 1-3, and both of them can accept the 2 bamboo. And notice something special about both of those blocks. Both of them have the 3. Let's say there was no 3. Let's say I see all the 3s. All of them are on my hand on the board. I know no 3s exist. Can this 3-4 or this 1-3 exist? No. There is no 3s in their hand because I see all of them. There is only 4 of the same tile. So if I know all of the 3 bamboos are gone, that means this 2 bamboo can't work in those blocks anymore. It can only work as a triplet or a pair. So, a bit like the Suji, I can say that the bamboo is safe, but you can say to yourself, Peleg, not all the 3s have been dropped. Only 3 of them have been dropped. True? It's a bet, you could say. This is what someone would call a last chance tile. I'm saying to myself, 3 of the 3 bamboos have been dropped. And I can also say to myself, actually, 3 of the 4 bamboos have been dropped. The chance of her having something like a 3-4 is really low, right? There is all the tiles in other people's hands. There is all the tiles still in the dead wall, still waiting to get drawn. The chance she has, specifically the last 3 and the last 4, pretty low. And the chance she has something like 1-3, we can actually already see, I think, all of the 1 bamboos. Yeah, we also see all of the 1 bamboos. Makes it a bit safer. Usually, I'm not really afraid of the 1-3 block. We're trying to defend against two-sided blocks. But we also see all of the 1 bamboos. So we know 1-3 is not possible, and the chance of 3-4 really low. So that will be the last chance. You need to have specifically the last tile, the last 3, or the last 4 to accept these 2 into a normal hand. And not just that, I also say to myself, I'm gonna make a bet here, right? There isn't a tile that's 100% safe. Every one of those tiles might deal in. I'm going to drop a tile that's statistically less likely to deal in. And if I'm doing that, what will I do next turn, right? I'll have to make another bet. But when you drop a tile, you already have another off. If it passes, then obviously the other semi-identical tile passes. So, when I drop the 2 bamboo, I take a bit of a bet. I see it passes. That means the other 2 bamboo is safe. So I bought myself 2 turns with this 1 bet. Sometimes you want to make a bet that buys yourself more than 1 turn. Like this one. Like, I didn't have anything else cleared up for me. So that was great. Now, what will be my next option? Well, a bit like I did just now. You see there is 3 8 bamboos that have been dropped. Here, here, and here. So, same thing goes for this 9. I have 2 of them. If only work in a pair, can't really work in a triplet because I already see 1 on the board and 2 in my hand. So for it to work in a block, she would need specifically the last 8 for the 7-8. Let's see what I end up doing. I draw a safe tile, right? Is it a safe tile? Why do I think it's a safe tile? It's actually not completely safe. I also use this method. Now, you see, it's like a wall, right? Open up the notepad again. What I see is the 3 pins. 4 of the 3 pins have been dropped. So again, this 2 would not work in a 1-3, would not work in a 3-4, only work in some kind of a 2
Are you supposed to show us something? Because I can't see anything.
Wait.
Yeah.
What can't you see?
The notepad.
Can't see it?
I think you have it set to show your window, which is Chrome or whatever, and it doesn't.
You could never see the notepad at
all?
all?
No.
Oh, fuck.
No.
I thought I keep trying to hide it and not hide it. But why would you be able to? You can see it on Discord, but you can see it on stream. That's my bad.
Yeah.
Okay, on the stream it would be a bit more obvious. I just need to do.
I think you do it as like screen instead of window.
Yeah, I just share your screen.
Hide your porn.
Right, let me stop this. Screen 1. Okay. Okay. And let's drop this as well. You see this notepad now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, notepad visible. That's good. So it makes things a bit more easier to understand. But what I'm saying, you see all the 3 pins that have been dropped. 2 on the dude on the right, 2 on the dude on the tree, and 1 by the riichi, the dealer. So I see all the trees, all the 3 pins specifically. And because of that, I know 1 3 or 3 4 block would not work. So specifically these 2 only work for a pair or triplet. So sort of 100% safe, still might deal into a pair or triplet, but the chance of it doing so is very small. Also, the hands that have those kind of weird weights are usually weaker, so I consider that safe. As safe as it gets, right? I have either that or the 9 bamboos. Here I draw even another dangerous style. Now I just drop this 5 bamboo. Well, notice I dropped the 2 bamboos. And they passed, right? Notice she dropped the 8 bamboos. They passed. The 5 bamboo is Suji then. If we know the 2 is safe, we know the 8 is safe, then the 5 is Suji. It will not work in a 6-7, it will not work in a 3-4. The only times it will work is in a 4-6 and 5s, right? So I also know it's a bit safer because I see the 4 bamboos. Not all of them, but I see 3 of them. I don't see that much of the 6s, but I can also already tell that the 4-6 weight, unlikely as well. Like, will be last chance. So I think the 5 bamboo is safe. You won't always have 100% times, right? Sometimes it steals in, but it's safer than the rest of the hand. And thanks to my methods, I ended up not dealing it. Now, her hand was not that big. It was riichi. Actually, it was big. It was riichi Pecotanio. That's from the dealer. That's 8k on her own without Uadora. That's the crazy thing about dealer. They don't need a lot of value to make a big hand. Let's see if I have another defense. No, here just ends early. Not here as well. Not here, yeah. Have nice hand. Bit close to ready. 2 away, actually.
riichi.
Dealer calls riichi. You see, it's always the dealer. So I don't know. It's not always, obviously. Sometimes other people would call riichi, and there are players you sometimes might want to defend less against because, let's say, if the dude on the right here called riichi, I'm like, I'm not afraid of you because he's not the dealer. His chance of having a big hand is smaller, and you know, maybe it's worth the chase. Maybe I can get to Tenpai without dealing into him. But when it's the dealer, it's very hard to push through. So as much as I did have those safe honor tiles, as we said, the 4 is 100% safe, and I have 3 of them. Now, you could drop the 2 north tiles and be like, I want to get to Tenpai, right? But I'm seeing something else. I'm seeing the 1 away, 7 pairs. If I did not have 5 pairs in this hand, I would probably start by dropping those honor tiles, maybe those Sujis, those 2-7 shoes, and you know, keep this triplet. This triplet is a finished sequence, finished block. But because I see the pairs, I'm going to 1 away. We're also defending by dropping the 4. But sadly, I just draw another triplet. And at this point, I'm already committed to dropping the 4s. I can't really drop the 2 bamboo to keep going for pairs, right? I can't really drop this 4 pin or the 7-8. I don't think, like the 7 is Suji, but I still have better options. So remember, Suji is not the best option, it's an option if you have none. So I'll just continue with dropping those 4 mans. What's next? Well, it's gonna be this 1 pin. Why? I don't know. Probably not the best play. I also make mistakes. I probably wanted to push this. I don't know why I would be so desperate to push. You could say there is two pins, so like it's half a wall against the one. If we have 4 of the 2 pins, we can say, oh, the one is completely safe. Never mind. I'm not retarded. I'm just blind. Yeah, the 1 pin was 100% safe because it dropped it before. Now you see, sometimes it's gonna happen. It's gonna be frustrating. When you're folding, you have to sometimes drop 10 pi. And you see, this is the third triplet I would have in this hand if I was not folding. I would have this triplet, this triplet, this triplet, and 2 pairs. I would be at 10 pi for 4 triplets, Yakoman. 4 concealed triplets. It will sometimes happen. Don't make it think that like, okay, now I have to change my plans and go to 10 pi. Commit to your play. Also, if you bonded your character by dropping the 3 semi-identical tiles, they'll say a voice line. And that's always a good thing. Why is this tile? Why did I drop it? Because it's a shiny tile. When you're defending, you don't want to give your opponent more value, right? But you can tell yourself, okay, Peleg, but 2 people have dropped it. Well, there is a small chance that the blondie here managed to get herself into some kind of a pair 10 pi on the south, and she just did not kill riichi. I would deal in very heavy right now if I did this. So I have a better option. I go for this 2-man, which was dropped a few turns before. Safe versus 2 players, the guy in the riichi and the guy on the right. True, just like the south tile, it's not safe versus the blondie, but these 2 deals in for heavier than this shiny tile. That's why shiny tiles are usually not tiles you drop in defense unless they're really, really safe. Or you just don't have a better option. No, I didn't have a better option here. I'd rather drop this than try to go for the Suji. Here I dropped the 6 pin because the dealer dropped it before. Well, if I didn't say it before, I called it a wall specifically because that's how the term for it in Japanese goes, kabe. So if someone says kabe, it means a wall of a specific tile that blocks off other tiles. Like I have all those 2 bamboos, if I saw the 4th one, that's a wall, and I know the 1 bamboo is a lot harder to work with. The 3 and 4 bamboo, a bit harder to work with, but that does not mean they're safe. So we usually just work with the 1 bamboo. The last tile you drop deals into another Yaku, under the sea, under the river, whatever. Last tile, either Tsumo or Ron, gives more value, gives a Yaku if someone has like a Yaku-less hand. You should be careful of the last drop. It's the most important time to not drop a scary tile. If you have like 2 tiles you have to drop, 1 scary, 1 not scary, better to save the not scary for later. Here though I drop the 9. When you see a tile that all 3 players have dropped, one of each, 100% safe. Would be full written for all of them.
No.
Let's look at when do you not defend. Pretty sure I have a 3rd over here I can work with. Not this one. I think there was it was a UA round. Here. Oh, that's a friendly match. Forgot the clock shows here. Where is it? I know it was a few days ago. No, that's that one match. It was a 3rd. I remember that. Look at this. No? Guess my memory is betraying me. Can just talk with a different game. Yeah, I guess I do have memory issues. Remember, I did a run and got 3rd by Sliver. I just need to look at the points here. Not this. Not this. Not this. How do I can see it? I remember it was okay, I think it was this one. Wait, no, never mind. It's not this one. I'm sure it was here. Why can't I see it? This. Yeah, this one. Okay, I found it. When do you not defend, right? What's the situation right now? I am in 4th place. It's out 3. That means there is 2 more rounds and the game ends. Obviously, if right now I would stop making any kind of hand, then I'm basically just really hoping then the 3rd place guy gets hit with a run and then I get a 4th place. And remember, in ranked, 4th place is the biggest, only way to lose, really. If you're not getting 4th place, you won. 3rd place is a win, 2nd place is a win, 1st place is a win, 4th place, big loss. So, when you're in last place, you always need to push. Now, you should not just deal in, because haha, funny deal in. You should think how much time you have left. Let's say if this was now history, I would not push against some kind of a scary riichi. But in this place, because it's so close right now, if someone else would say riichi, I would keep making my hand. Especially because I'm already 1 away. What we said about efficiency. This is kind of a situation that I did not get to talk about. This 4 and 1. What does this 1 man do that the 4 man doesn't? Nothing. Basically, if we draw 2 men, we rather have a 2-4 than a 1-2. If we draw 3 men, we rather have a 3-4 than a 1-3. So every time you have like a 4 and a 1, or a 6 and a 9, then you should drop the terminal. The terminal becomes useless. Well, this on the other hand could be the 4, 5, 6, 7 we talked about. Could very much save me from this 4, 6. That's not a two-sided block. I might look at the mixed triple sequence here with the 4, 5, 6. Might even think about doing pure straight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A lot of upgrades from this run. This 1 man did nothing. I do get the 8. So, as I did say, for this 4, 5, 6, 7, the 8 makes it a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this thing needs either a 3 bamboo, a 6 bamboo, or a 9 bamboo to finish. We obviously would like the 9 bamboo best. Because then it will be pure straight as well. But the most important thing is speed. Unless you need a specific amount of hand value, you go for the earliest riichi you can get. Unless it's a riichi with a bad weight or bad value. So even sometimes there is an upgrade. Going for the upgrade is too far-fetched. We're gonna see it here in a bit, if my memory serves correct. I draw the 3 bamboo. So I'm in Tenpai right now for riichi and pinfu, if I say riichi. So some players will either drop this 3 bamboo, just wait for the 9, right? They really want the 9. Because then it's a pure straight. And the 9 also, it looks kind of good, right? We see 3 of the 8 bamboos. That means like the 9 is pretty hard to use because of the 8 bamboos are gone, almost all of them. But at the same time, if I drop the 3 bamboo or the 9 right now, if I drop the 3 bamboo, I'll possibly be in Furitan. I don't want to be in Furitan if I can stop it. If I drop the 9 pin and not say riichi, waiting for the 9 bamboo upgrade, then what's gonna happen if I get a Ron or a Tsumo? Am I really gonna take? Because a Ron will be 1k, a Tsumo will be 1.5k. So I'm denying myself out of so much value. And riichi is not just like +1 hand, it's +1.5, you could say. Because you might get Ipatsu, you might get Uradoras. a lot of RNG stuff happen. So
riichi.
you just have to say riichi. And this is a riichi I would do, as I said, the idea of defense, even if someone else did riichi before. I would attack here, because I have to attack as the 4th place. And I just sumo it.
Tsumo.
So I don't think I got any Rodora. Oh, value not that big.
Tsumo. Pinfu.
But it's double the points if I would not call riichi. And I really need those points. If I did not call riichi, I would not go into 3rd place here. It's very nice when you go into the last round not as 4th place. Because if you are going at 4th place, you have to push no matter what. Here I have some options. Like if the Yui or the cat make a hand, I can be like, okay, you guys make your hand. I just want to not get 4th place. But anytime the dealer here makes a hand, I have to also make a hand. If the dealer right now wins a hand, I'm in 4th place again. I have to stop him. So that's another time where you won't defend.
Pon.
Regarding efficiency, when you have a quadruplet of something, don't just call can. You call can when you're close to tenpai. Quadruplets can be good blocks. You can say this quadruplet is actually a triplet of the 3-pin, and also a possible 1-3. The 1-3 can accept the 2, and then I'll have 2 blocks, a triplet and a 1-2-3. My job right now, as the person that really wants tenpai to stop the evil dealer, is to get any kind of efficiency I can. Try to be as efficient as I get. The same with her. She's trying to make something more fast.
Chi.
There she has it. She's already in tenpai. Very scary. Like, me and her right now are in somewhat of a race. But at the same time, I can deal into her, right? If I deal into her, it will be even harder to climb back. But I still have to push. I can't completely forfeit this hand. So I try to push while always also being kind of safe. I know that the 5 bamboo is safe versus her.
Chun. Dora.
And she gets her on. That's not on me. But it's good enough for her, as it puts her in 3rd place. And here I am in 4th place. As I said, have to push. These kind of situations, you can defend. You can try to push while dropping the bit safer tiles and keeping in your hand the less safe tiles. But you don't have a choice. You have to fight. You can't always just defend. Sometimes everyone will sumo, and you'll just be in 4th place. And when it's gonna get close to the game ending, you'll just have to make a play. Sometimes, like a lot of times, you would just fold until you get the easy hand, and that's good. You got your easy hand, and you got your free win. But here it was not the case. It was 4th place, last round. I have to make something happen. I have to go as fast as possible, even if it means opening my hand, even if it means dropping dangerous tiles.
Chi.
Now here this is a bit of a better weight than the other version. I'll do this so it's obvious what was my 2 choices. Either I drop the 2-pin here, and then I wait for the 4-pin, which is just the 4-pin. I can't run on the 1-pin because I don't have all simples. And that's kind of situation that sometimes happens, and it's not very good. Let's say I drop this 2-pin, right? I'm waiting on the 4-pin, and then I draw the 1. What will happen? I can't sumo, because I don't have a Yaku with the 1. I have to drop the 1, and then my 2-3 becomes full return. Even though I never wanted to win with the 1, the 4 always also becomes full return, and just a bad block. If I do a double pair here, now don't just look at the Dora. Yeah, the Dora is also a reason, but the bigger reason, I just want speed here. A 1k hand, not 1k hand won't do it, but 2k at least would already be good. And I don't really need to make like something like a crazy Dora tree. And we have two middle pairs. Both of them are upgradable. So specifically not those two, there's not really middle, but the 7, if I actually draw a 6, I can upgrade into a 5-8 weight. So this kind of tenpai gives me upgrade possibilities. As you can see, she knows the situation, she just pushes for a hand. It's not a big hand, but she needs to make something. She can't be slow. Because if she is slow, I'll just get my hand, which I might just do. Luckily for me, Dio is afraid of the 8. I'll say it a bit more when we make hands. She is afraid of the 8 because the 8 was never dropped, the color. You see how in all this board there is a lot of, not many dropped colors, especially from the dealer. For all we know she has a triplet of red dragons. Let's not show her hand, just to make it a bit more obvious. We know she has a triplet of red dragons, and we know she only dropped bamboos and pinzus. So that means those red tiles probably work in her hand, right? So that means not only she has a better chance of wanting those red tiles, that maybe she's even doing a half flush. Meaning just honors and the specific color, which looks like that color. So that's another thing in color, but also talking about more with Yaku's. If someone is dropping 2 specific colors and not dropping any of the third color, be careful. They might be going for a color hand. And that's exactly why Dewey felt this 8 is scary. Musko, I fail to think so. She has much better idea with the 7. Why does she think that the 7 is safe? She sees she has 3 of the 5s. Another 5 on the board. And as we said, that's a cabe. That's a block on the 5. So you know 5s won't work. So I can't have a 5-6. A 5-6 is not possible. She knows it's not possible because she knows where all the 5s are. Now what else will this 7 deal into? In a simple hand, maybe a 6-8. True, maybe. But she already knows that the 5-6 option won't work. I won't have a 9-8 because I'm all simples. And that the dealer probably won't want any because she knows they want the master tile. So the 7 looks safe. As I said, you can have Kabes, you can have Suji. They don't really protect you against pair weights. Those are sneaky and they would work a lot more versus high elo players. Pretty sure this year was Saint 3. So yeah, versus those kind of players, weirder weights work. So she did it in. I managed to avoid my fault.
タンヤオドラに
Now, let's change topics. A new topic. Opening hand. And this is a hand I opened. Where do you open your hand? Let me open the notepad for this. Yeah. Oh. But Dora theory states that it's safe to the first. Dora is safe to the first riichi because opponent won't wait on it. I don't. You already said that, typewriter. There is like some kind of an idea that people won't wait for the Dora, but I think that's just going for like some specific psychology of some players. Waiting for the Dora, I think, is mathematically correct, and what most trainers will say: wait on the Dora, because yeah, the chances of the Dora dropping are lower than other tiles, so you might not want to work with them, but at the same time, that's where value lasts. Like sometimes you will need to have a Dora wait to make your hand worth anything. I wouldn't drop Dora versus a riichi because who waits on the Dora? Like I would love to wait on the Dora. That's more value for my hand. So I was talking about opening hands. Yeah. So when do I open my hand? Well, first of all, you want to open your hand when your hand has... Basically, opening a hand, it gives speed, right? When you open your hand, you get faster. If you're doing it right, you're basically taking someone else's tile instead of drawing. You are losing a draw for opening your hand, but you're getting your tenpai faster. Now, why would you want to get your tenpai faster? Because you are losing value. Once you open your hand, you can't riichi. You can't get the Tsumo Yaku, which is like fully concealed hand. Your Yakus are worthless. Like your mixed triple sequence will be worth 1 instead of 2, your pure straight 1 instead of 2, your half flash 2 instead of 3. But yeah, you do get speed. And I'll say it again and again in Mahjong, the most important thing is who gets Tenpai first. The first guy who gets to Tenpai has the best chance of winning that round. And even if you're not winning a big hand, like a lot of times probably see those people pawning dragons, pawning simple tiles, maybe they're just making a 1000k points hand, but they are blocking bigger hands. Like probably you didn't open your hand worth more points, maybe you have a lot of shiny tiles, maybe you have some kind of crazy expensive Yaku. They blocked your hand. They won this round, you don't got anything. Doesn't matter how big your hand might have been, because they just got their win first. Your value does not matter. The only thing that mattered is the guy with the biggest speed. So speed, how do you get to it? Well, one, you're just being efficient with your tiles, as we said before. But also, you can just open your hand. But you need to do it smartly, right? Like, if right now I open my hand, let me not show this on the stream. If let's say right now the cat over here dropped 9-man, then I can chi on the 7-8, right? I don't want to do that, because then I can't do all simples. When you open your hand, you did a Yaku. First of all, you won't have the riichi bailing your ass or the Tsumo every time as like the obvious Yaku you always get. You need a plan. That could be a triplet of a dragon, that could be mixed triple sequence, pure straight, or most easy, all simples. So the 7-8, if I open my hand, it will only work with a 6. Now, here's another thing. If someone drops the 8 bamboo, do I chi? No, I can understand that my hand has the 6, 7, 8. I don't need another 8. Always look at the tile that you're getting and ask yourself, do I need it? And I'll just click the random chi or pawn buttons. I know that's obvious, but you always need to look at what you're making with that call. And sometimes it could be difficult. Like let's say Deichim drops the 6 bamboo and I see a chi button. Now, I'm not sure what to do then. I can say like, oh, I have this 6, 7, 8, I don't need it. But at the same time, if she did drop the 6 bamboo, I can tell you I would probably cheat. Why? Because I see my hand after it. I chi, taking both the 7, 8 down on the board along with her 6, and then I have the 6, 7. So by chiing, I made my one sequence into one sequence and a sided weight on two all simple styles. So sometimes when you have a annoying block like the 6, 7, 7, 8, which is again great in a closed hand, you need to kind of think ahead of what will happen after the chi, what will conspire. Another time opening a hand is a good thing is when you have a lot of pairs. Probably saw a lot of cats doing a lot of triplets and doing crazy toi. I'll talk about Yakuza a bit later. Toi is not a good hand, but it's a lot easier to pawn than it is to chi. I can only chi from this cat, while I can pawn from every guy on the board. So having 2 or 3 pairs usually suggests opening your hand. So here, not because of many other reasons, here my reason to open my hand, the reason I wanted the speed was because I needed to win before the dealer. And I needed and it didn't really matter if my hand was big or not. It just needed to be bigger than, even 1k was good enough because of the Honba here. That means this thing right here. That means I get 300 more points. Even a 1k point hand here does it. So it doesn't matter if I make my big 12k hand, 1k would do the same in the idea of not getting fought. Sure, a bigger hand might get me second or first, but when you're playing ranked, just try to not get fought. So I see the 7-8, right? I know if I draw the 9-man, I can't do my simples anymore. I'll be kind of stuck in a hand that I'll have to keep closed because of this 9. So this 6 bails me out. The 7-8 won't be some kind of like Fury 10 block I'm stuck with. I already cashed it in, and it works. A lot of times, you want to open your hand on the weaker blocks. Like let's say instead of the 7-7, I had a 6-7. Sometimes when I open my hand, I will not chi a 6-7 because I tell myself the 6-7 is so easy to complete because I can get both 5 and 8. It will just complete by itself, right? I have more chances just drawing instead of just dropping my hand, because the more you drop your hand, not only your value drops, but also your defense drops. It's very easy to defend when your hand is full of random tiles, but the more you do calls, the less tiles there will be. I'll show a situation like this in a bit. The best time to make a call is on a tile that's maybe almost gone. Like, let's say the Yui would drop right now 2 of the 3 men, right? So suddenly this 2-4 men I have only has 2 more tiles it can work with. This is a block in my hand that I'm kind of stuck with and I have to finish. This is by far the weakest block in my hand right now, this 2-4, but I get an upgrade luckily. But if the Ichihime would drop the 3 men, I would think not for a second and cheat. So this was an open hand. Let me show you an open hand I just did a few games ago, that you might see in Silver Room quite a lot. I don't say you should do this at home, but sometimes the situation calls for it. I think I did in and I was dealer when I did it here. It's probably, I'll show like the end result, right? You pawn or chi 4 times. The only tile remaining in your hand is a pair you're trying to make. And then you only have 1 tile in your hand. So this is an extreme scenario, right? But you can't defend here. You only have 2 tiles to work with. And the cav is called riichi. So I either drop a tile that I think is safe, or I change my weight. Here the 5 bamboo, I knew it was a lot safer than this 3 pin, but I needed to keep my value here as the 4th place guy. You see, as 4th place, you have to make plays, especially if the game is near end, like South 2, and even more if you're the dealer. Remember, dealer streaks. As a dealer, you're a lot more pressured to push versus others and abandon defense. But how did I get here? Well, here is one of the more classic situations. You pawn on a Yakuhai tile. Now, as much as this does make your hand faster, the same time it was my only pair. You could say the amount of turns I need to get to Tenpai right now has not decreased. That's usually not something you want when you're making a call, but pawning this east is something I won't have many opportunities to do. There is only 2 times I would be able to do it. Maybe even 1 time, if the other east tile might even be like here. This is the tiles I can't get. This is the dead wall. So sometimes you have to secure your Yaku, even though it doesn't make your hand faster. Which is what I did here. And again, this is one of the situations I'm lowering my value, doing a probably 1k hand, because I really need speed, as I'm the dealer in 4th place. Another efficiency thing I can say. When I draw this 5 bamboo, it makes the 2 bamboo pretty weak. Kind of like we saw how the 4 makes the 1 weak, right? So if I have like a 4-1, I would always drop the 1. It's a bit similar with the 5-2. The only thing, this 2 is like not as bad. If I draw the 3 bamboo, it will be a bit faster than the 5 bamboo. But the 2 bamboo is just a bit weaker. If I draw the 4, I will obviously use it with the 5. If I draw a 3, I might just still use it with the 5 because it's shiny. So then only the 1 kind of like a special situation. So when you have like something like a 2-5 or a 5-8, sometimes you also want to just drop the other tile. It doesn't give you much speed. While I thought the worst tile gives me a bit more speed. When you have a win tile that no one has dropped, it's a lot of times because no one has it. Not in this situation, as you saw. It won't last much in my hand anyway. But even though I don't have a pair, usually when you open your hand, you need to have blocks to actually cheer or pawn on. And you would rather also already secure your pair. But sometimes you don't really have the possibility, right? If I draw a pair, I would love to use it. Didn't really happen. I don't know why the Reina is going for offense, by the way. That's maybe also why she got 4th place in the end of this. This is a Jade Room. I'm the only Saint. All of those are Master 1 players. They're making odd decisions. Can talk about another thing. It's kind of a bit to efficiency, a bit to defense. Do you see this green dragon? when you have a green dragon or a Yakuhai tile, right, this late, and you never saw it, a lot of silver players would be, okay, that's really scary. I know that they have a good idea. If I didn't see it until now, it means someone has it. The chance someone has a pair of it or a triplet, not that bad. Is it safer than like random middle tiles? By far. Even if you're dropping a live Yakuhai, it's safer than the middle tile you maybe wanted to drop instead. But if it is this late, it's still correct to assume probably someone has some of those tiles. Might not mean he can run on it, might not mean he even would want to pawn it. But someone has some of them.
Gee.
That's why I drop it. I don't think it will come out. And I go for value. And here it was a situation as I was forced to keep making calls
riichi.
to get to a hand. But this is not a good situation. This is a situation you kind of find yourself into out of no choice. You should not strive yourself to get into the situations, but when you are 4th place, you sometimes just push your hand and you get whatever tempo you can get. Because, like it or not, I'm still in Tenpai right now for a 6k points hand. That's not bad. Maybe it's not pretty, maybe I can defend. Just think that you're in riichi for a 3-hand hand, okay? And for some reason the mini points went down. Let's see, is there another situation I open my hand? Yeah, here. That's a special situation when you have lots of pairs, right? When you have 4 pairs, as I said, you need to think about making a pair hand. But you also might want to think about making a triplet hand. Or at least just pawning, right? When you have a lot of pairs, it kind of, as I said, it makes pawning a bit better. Pawn is something fast. Now, when can you expect to get a pawn if the tile is not very useful? Can I expect someone... Sorry. Can I expect someone to drop the 5? No. No one will drop a middle tile like that, especially early. Can I expect someone to drop a 9? This random wind. Or the dragons? Yeah. Those are weaker tiles. I can do 1 pawn. I don't expect I can just get other pawns. More than that, I'm 4th place. I can't really go slow. Even though I was 2 away for pairs. Pairs is rather of a slow option. Pairs like might look 1 away or 2 away, but your actually chances of finishing Tenpai are pretty low. When you're in a bad spot and you need to force something, pairs is not a good thing to force. While opening your hand, it gives you a lot more options. Like you see, I can still draw all kinds of different upgrades, while pairs is very one-dimensional. Another, I don't know if I have a good situation ready for that right now. Maybe I'll get one of my first place. I want to talk about opening because of value. It's a very big thing. Let's look at a bit of a better game I had. Let's see if I ever opened for value. No. See, I don't open a lot. I always say it's not a very good thing. It's a special kind of thing. Okay, this is an open for value, okay. So in this hand, there is something special. Now, some Doras, if you have a pair of them, the shiny tiles, that you know you already have good value. If you have a triplet of a value tile, then that's already kind of an 8k hand ready for it. Even more, sometimes even those tiles give you a Yaku, right? Making it also work in an easy open hand. As we said, open hands are usually faster. And this tile, the south tile, is my wind, and also the usual wind. It's a very big tile I would want to have. If I have this tile, I can make an open hand. Usually, when you have this kind of situation, when you have a pair of a Yakuai tile, you want to first pawn it before you're starting to open your hand. Why? because then you're growing a dependency on it. Like, let's say right now I don't do anything, I just let my hand build itself. This south could also work as my pair. I can make my hand into any kind of different things. If I open my hand before pawning this south tile, I'm basically saying, okay, those two last south tiles, I need one of them or my hand does not work. The chance I get one of those two, not that high. Again, it's only 2 tiles. Might be stuck, never drawn, might be stuck in the dead wall. Yet I still do it. I still open my hand. One, because it's on a 2-4 bamboo. Right? Like I had this block in my hand, 2-4-4-5. So it's basically a 4-5 waiting on 3-6, and then a 2-4. So it's double the 3 bamboo weight. It's not a very good thing. So those weaker blocks, usually we really want to open them. And the bigger reason we want to open is because of the value. When you already have a hand that's worth around 8k points, you want to go as fast as possible. You don't want more points than that. Usually 8k or 5k is kind of the amount of points you stop at. You're saying like, this is the amount of points, this is good enough, now I just need to win this hand. Because what's good if I wait here to make a 12k hand if I can never make it? I already have the value, better to make multiple 8k hands than going for 12k or 16k. So I just need to go fast as possible. And yeah, I am kind of depending on the south tile, but it's okay if I have so much value getting from it. And luckily, this guy was in last place. Don't be like, oh, dummy, you dropped the shiny tile. It was probably the correct play for him, as he was here 2 away from 10 pi. The south tile did not work in his hand. It was very much correct for him to drop it. Unluckily for him though, I was the last player he wanted to be able to easily pawn it. No, happens though. And then you just keep making calls, because right now might look like you can't really defend, but why would I defend? Think that you have right now, let's say you're in riichi and you know your hand was 8k points. Would you really care to defend? Would you really say to everyone, okay guys, I'm stopping my riichi, I'm going to defend now? No, you have 8k points, your hand is ready, their hand is probably not ready. Send it. Literally, don't change this hand. Just keep going unless you somehow get an upgrade. There is 2 possible upgrades here. But until we get one of them, this is good enough. We just keep the 10 pi. It's not the best 10 pi, just waiting for the 8. But this hand is 8k points. So this is a situation we open for value. When you have 3 Dora tiles in your hand, or we'll talk about scoring in a bit. When you know your hand is worth a good amount of points, try to be fast with it. Don't greed in for even more value. I got lucky.
Nan, Dabunan, Dora-san. Mangan.
So that's opening because of value. Now, value. Let's talk about it. A new topic. It's a bit of a hard thing to talk about. Let's show the notepad again. Will this be on the next test? Yeah, it will be on the test on the next weekend for the finals of my tournament. The best listener has the better chances of getting big dollars. So, in value, I kind of most want to talk about Dora acceptance. Let's see if there is a time here when Dora acceptance comes into play. This is a good situation. You see this 4 pin right here? Let me close the notepad, it's actually not as useful. I don't see right now the shiny tiles, right? None of my tiles are shiny. But you can know what the Dora is if you just look here, right? You see this 4 pin. That means the tile after it, the 5 pin, is the Dora. Usually you want to have your hand in a situation where you can accept value. So usually that would mean the shiny tiles. Shiny tiles are the easier way into getting big hands. So I want to keep this 4 pin, even if it's a bit uncomfortable, because then if I draw the 5, I won't have to drop the 5 because it doesn't fit in. The 5 works perfectly in. When there is a shiny tile, you usually want to keep tiles around it, just in case you draw it to make it work into your hands. Because what you are, not only shiny tiles give value to your hand, you also don't want to drop them because then you're sharing value. When you're dropping shiny tiles, someone else gets them. A bit like you saw in the game before when someone pawned the bamboos. Was it this game? I think it was this game. Yeah, it was like around the end of this game. Maybe I think it was this game. I can't find it though. When someone like drops the Dora, there is a chance it will be pawned, and then someone will have 3 of them. So you should just kind of be careful and not drop shiny tiles. Dropping means someone else cheese or pawn, possibly, very likely. Keeping, meaning maybe sometimes you slow your hand, but you're making your hand bigger. As we said before, the amount of points you want to end yourself is around 5 or 8k. But Peleg, how do I count? I don't know how to count. Well, let me tell you. You don't need to remember all points by heart, but you should try to remember the important ones. So we have points are calculated by your hands, meaning like the tricks you did with your hand, your shiny tiles, and the mini points. Mini points are a difficult concept. I won't tell you how to get mini points, but I will tell you the kind of situation that would end you with the same mini points. When you have a pinfu hand, that means your hand has no mini points. That can only happen if you have 20 mini points, and so like when you have a pinfu, that means if you're tsumoing, you will have 20 mini points, and if you're running, you'll have 30 mini points. Just write all the possible mini points you'll see, likely. So pinfu means no fu. When you run, you automatically get more mini points. That means your lowest amount of fu, mini points, was 20, becomes 30. But if you do tsumo, then it will end up being 20 mini points. And 20 mini points mean that if you have 2 hand, which is the minimum, as I said, 20 fu is only with a pinfu tsumo. That's already 2 hand. I'm pretty sure that's, I think, 1,500 points. If you have pinfu, tsumo, and then 1 more hand, like, so that would be 2 hand. In 3 hand, like this. With 3 hand, you have a bit more points, to 700. You see, when you get another hand, it usually almost doubles your points. We did have a hand like this a bit before, when I did the riichi tsumo Dora, I think. Riichi pinfu tsumo, yeah. No, it was not Dora, yeah, just riichi pinfu tsumo, that's 2700. If you have 4, let's say riichi pinfu tsumo and Dora, then that would be... Wait, that's not 2700, my bad, I think that's 2600. One of the two. Either way, the 4th one is 5200. After that, when you have 5 or 6, in any hand, 5 or 6 has to be a mangan. That's 8k base. If you have, sorry, not 5 or 6, just 5. 5 is always mangan. Sometimes lower hands could be mangan if they have enough mini points. But 5, no matter how many mini points, always mangan. 6 or 7 is haneman. That's 12k points. 8 or 9, that's Baiman. 16k points base. Sorry, not 8 until 9, 8 until 10. I think. Yeah, I think 11. I don't really get to those kind of hands, it's kind of Sanma things. Usually you kind of stop at Baiman. But if you have 11, I'm pretty sure that's San Baiman, which is 24k. 11 or 12. If you have 13 or more, that's Iyakuman for 32k points. Those two, don't really think about them. You won't see them in 4-player anyway. If you're playing 3-player, then you should stop playing 3-player. Those are the hands you'll most see. And again, from 5, it's always the same thing. While those is just if 20 mini points. But let's talk about the other mini points you could get. What about 25? It's a bit odd, right? The mini points usually are on jumps of 10. 25 is a special one for 7 pairs. Only if you have 7 pairs, you get those specific kind of scores. Which is, again, 7 pairs is always 2 hand. on a closed hand you can't open with 7 pairs, so we're starting with 2, and 2 would be 11,600. 3 would be 3,200, and 4 would be 6,400. So this could be just Chitoi, this could be Chitoi Tsumo, this could be riichi Tsumo Chitoi. 30, that's the most likely one. Every open hand will likely be 30 mini points. Every Tsumo you'll probably be making that's not pinful will likely be 30. Yeah, so open hands and Tsumos would probably be 30 mini points. And on 30 mini points, you'll have either the classic, right? 1 equals 1,000. 2 equals 2,000. Very easy. 3, you would think it's worth 4,000. It is on a Tsumo. Sometimes on a Tsumo I get a bit more points just to make it even for all players. But it's 3,900 without Tsumo. And 4 would be 7,700. I think it's like 7,900 on Tsumo. It doesn't really matter. You need to know just how around. So this is like 8k. We can consider this as 8k. We consider this as 4k. So very easy to remember. 1k, 2k, 4k, 8k. That's 30 mini points, easiest one. And the last one, 40 mini points. That happens when you have a lot of triplets. Maybe you have a can. Maybe, and the most often situation, you have a closed hand that's not pinful, and you're calling Ron. When you're calling Ron on someone with a closed hand, that gives a good amount of mini points. So for this, we have 1,300. This is the first. 2 would be 2,600. 3 would be 5,200. And 4 would be already Mahjong. So as I said, there is some situation, a smaller amount of hands will be qualified as Mahjong. When does it happen? When it's already above 8k points. Mahjong is kind of like the cap. If we had like, we want to be talking much about this map, if we had like 110 mini points, and we had 3, it will already be worth like, if you do like the Japanese calculation, like 14k points or whatever. So it just stops at Mahjong. Mahjong is the breaking point, and you can only break it by having 6 or more hand, no matter the mini points. So you should not remember all the other mini points, 50, 60, 70, they won't happen a lot. 110 is really like the maximum. Just remember the 40, remember the 30, and sometimes you need to remember the 25 and 20. Those are a bit more rare, but there is situations. So that's scoring. Why is scoring important? Because sometimes you need to know exactly how many points can save you. Alright, find the exact time. This is out 4, right? The last round. Let me turn off the notepad here. I remember how to calculate it as well, typewriter, but I won't get into it because it's a very boring math. I like mini points, I'm a mini points fan. But let's get back to the situation. I am in last place here by a good amount of points. This is the last round. This looks very bad. I was already crying on the Mahjong Soul Discord here, guys. I think my Kaguya Hime streak is over. I'm going back to base. I was already dreaming of Saint 3. Oh no, it's all over. 4th place, especially as a Saint player, is losing a lot of points. It's like 250 to 60 points. I don't want the 4th place. So I go into this situation thinking, how can I get out of it? Now, thanks to me remembering the scores, I know just how. I click here first. This is a very nice button. You click on it, and you see what's the difference between you and the other opponents. You just want to look at the 3rd place guy. Because your easiest play is to not be 4th place. You don't need to think about getting 2nd or 1st. You just want to get 3rd. And how do I do that? I need to get more points than Reina. I do it in 2 different ways. Either maybe I run for something like 4k points, right? If I do like a 34, 3 hand points, let's say I have 2 Doras and I open my hand and I run right on top of her, a very specific situation, it's hard to direct runs. But if I do, then she loses 4k points, I'll gain 4k, that means the gap between us will be like around 8k points, which closes the 6.9k gap that there is right now. So I would get third. Other option, I just sumo something that's big enough. Now, summing 4k points here won't be good enough. If I sumo 4k, then I get 4. She loses 1000. When you sumo, every player loses. The dealer loses double. So if I sumo 4k, the dealer would lose 2k points, and the other two would lose 1k points. This is a bit of a specific situation. Sometimes it's also good to just go into West. Like, let's say I can't really get third place right now. If I can maybe make the dealer go below 30k points, I can give myself another hand. Because if no one is above 30k points, then we're going into, how is it called? West rounds. West rounds are very scary. I always play terribly in them because I'm very stressed. But my goal here is to make either 4k points hand or 8k. This is kind of what I should aim for. To try to beat the Reina. So, because of that, I need to know exactly how much value to do. Right, so obviously I'll try to make a hand. As fourth place I don't really have another possibility. But I know the other players, and sometimes you need to have this kind of approach, are bad at the game. So because they are bad at the game, and I'm so talented and not bad at the game, there is a chance one of them deals in. Now it's very hard for those two players to deal in, the Kavi and the Kaguya. Even if they deal in, they probably won't get fourth place. This Reina though only has 7k points more than me. If she gets hit by like something like Ron Mangan, I get out of the scary situation. So I am trying to go for 10 pi. I think what I try to end up doing is kind of 7 pairs. You see I have 4 pairs, and I know if I have 7 pairs and the Dora and a riichi, that's 6k points, 6.4, and that's good enough. That means if I sumo or hit her, it's good enough. I can't run the other two players though, but sometimes you have to do specific plays to get out. So I'm going for pairs, it's just the fastest thing I can do right now. At the same time I'm also trying to go for other possible hands. But I'm remembering the chance. It's such a bad play. The Reina is stupid, right? So she's trying to make right now a very long hand for very little reason. She had much better options, but she didn't go for them. She's stupid, right? She doesn't really think as a third place, sometimes you need to think, how do I get first place out of here? But instead she's thinking, how can I get first place? Haha, I love getting first. That's what she's thinking. So she's going for half flush, meaning only bamboo and honor tiles. Naturally though, both the Kaguya and the Kavi also want to fight, right? They want to get to first place as well, and unlike the Reina, they are not really under much danger. If the Kaguya here loses 8k points, she's still not last place, so who cares? Same with the Kavi. The Reina though, she doesn't really understand that the amount of points she has is not really enough to do such a cocky play. Better to just make a small hand, maybe go for second place, maybe try to go into a West round. She missed on a very fast hand, but she's trying to force value by doing half flash. And yeah, this will be the kind of hand that will get her first place. But you should not look at it. You should always look at how do I not get fourth place, even if you're not fourth. What's the journey up there? And here, the Kaguya is in Tenpai for... you can think about the amount of points. So she has a lot of pawns, right? Her hand is open. Sometimes it's a bit hard to say right now if the amount of points she has is 30 or 40. I can tell you it's 40 though, because of specifically all the triplets she has. So she has 3 hand, right? She has this south wind, which is the round wind. She has those red dragons, and she has this one shiny tile. So how much is 3 hand with 40 fu? 5,200. If the Kaguya runs her now, it won't be enough. I won't get saved. But she gets run by 2 different players. This was very lucky for me. Those kind of situations don't really happen. But when you have a lot of stupid players trying to chase first place, a lot of times one of them will deal into something big. To be honest, I didn't really know how much value the Kaguya had. I hoped it would be something like 8k. At the same time, it's not like I folded my hand, but I tried to not deal in, because I didn't know that if the Reina does slip up, something like this would happen. And that's a situation where it's good to know the scores. I know that sometimes the Reina gets hit hard enough that he can get out of it. Other time, if the Reina had like more than 9k points above me, I would probably play more aggressive, maybe keeping this shiny tile I discarded here. Like this one, or maybe I want to really drop this 9 bamboo here instead of trying to go for a more conditional hand. But you see, I kept this east. Why would I keep this east and drop this sequence? Because this east is good for pairs. But because I knew the points value, I didn't want to play as aggressive as like 100% I need to get to 10 pi. So I just drop some safer tiles that I know don't deal in and try to let the other players kill themselves. So knowing points is pretty cool. Now let's talk about Yakus. Open the notepad. Which Yakus should I go for? Well, let me tell you all the good ones. There is Pinfo. Lovely. That just means that you have a hand that doesn't have triplets, doesn't have any honor tiles pairs, not really honor tiles, but Yaku tiles. Let's say you have a red dragon as a pair, it won't be Pinfo. Those generate mini points, and as we said, Pinfo means 0 mini points. It's fine though to have a pair of like a wind that's not Yaku for you. That would not generate many points, or like a terminal. So if you have just that as a pair, all the other tiles in your hand as sequences, and finishing as a side weight. So Pinfo needs to finish up as like a 5-6, right? Weights for both 7 and the 4. Why? Because if I have a 6-8 weight, or a 5-5 and then a 8 waiting for a triplet, or maybe just a pair weight waiting for the last red dragon, okay, or whatever, those generate mini points. Any kind of weight that's not two-sided or three-sided. I mean, two-sided is like 5-6, right? It doesn't. It needs to be like a sequence weight. It can't be like a triplet weight. Those does not generate mini points, and they allow to have the Pinfo. And yeah, as Typewriter said, not Yaku high. It's fine to have like a guest wind. So that's Pinfo. That a lot of times happens. Another easy one you probably all know is all simples. That's a good one. Usually, as we saw before, terminals and honor tiles are weak. Ichihime knows what she's talking about when she just goes for all simples. Those tiles work the best. They work with other tiles more, they are faster, they are mathematically stronger. That's a good kind of hand to go for. Even if you're all closed or open, all simples happen a lot of times. Be aware when your hand is all simples or not. Sometimes you'll have a play that enables it. And the same thing with Pinfo. Sometimes you won't see a Pinfo. Like, I think on the tournament, Steamoro made a small mistake where he called riichi, and I think he had something like this. And I think something like this, right? And he called riichi by discarding the 8, right? So then he had like a triplet and this pair weight. But if instead what he did is drop the 9, and just be this sequence, this pair, suddenly Pinfo, because the rest of the hand was also sequences. Always be aware if your hand looks like it might be Pinfo. Those are just Yakus you need to be aware of because they're good. They're easy to get, they're more points. Poke, poke, poke. Let's even think if we're doing here, we can, what can I see? View Yaku. Yeah, maybe this would be even easier to say. Let's fuck the notepad, shit notepad. We talked, and riichi, I don't really need to think about that, just something additional. Obviously, you have the Yaku high tiles. If you manage to make a triplet of them in your hand, that's cool. If you need to pawn them, sometimes it's fine. Remember to count them though. Don't just think, okay, I pawn this so my hand can be open. If let's say you have white dragon, and then your wind, and then a shiny tile, you need to know I'm at 3 ham. It's important. Now, should you keep pairs? Always keep pairs. If you have like a possible triplets, all of those are good Yaku. You don't always force them, right? You don't just keep lone honor tiles. But if you have a pair of like a good wind or a good dragon, keep it. Maybe it will become a triplet. Pure double sequence. Not really good. I don't know why in this picture they made it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I guess it's easier to see, but I like seeing it as 1, 1, 1. It will also show in your hand like that usually because of the outer range. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. This is a conditional Yaku. It happens randomly. You should not force it. Let's say you have 1, 1 man and then 3, 3 man, and you're missing the last two. Actually, I need the notepad for it. Let's say you have. I said the Japanese name, Ipeko. 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, right? So that's basically waiting for the last two as to finish the pure double sequence. Why is it bad? Because you're just waiting for the two. That's a bad wait. You rather wait for two different tiles. Because you're waiting for the two, that means it's not pinful. A bad thing. You want pinful. And it also means that the wait is not very good. Does that mean I will just never go for this? No, if sometimes it happens, it just happens. But it's a random Yaku, you should not force it. If you have something like an idea, do I keep this 1-3 that might give me Ipeko, or this 4-5? Fuck the 1-3, you're keeping the 4-5. Unless for some reason you need to force value by keeping this 1-3 and maybe you can't get pinful. It's almost always going to be the faster weight, which is the 4-5. Again, look, the good Yakus allow good weights. The bad Yakus don't allow good weights. Robbing a can, completely random, don't think about it. After a can. Sure, if you're at Tenpai, you're a bit more likely to can. If you're getting like a can, remember, like, if I sumo this style right now, that's Pog. I get one more Yaku. Not a big thing. Under the sea, under the river, you're obviously gonna run when you can get. I'm not really talking about times where you skip runs or skip sumos. So yeah, if you get a run on the last style, a bit more Pog. Ipatsu, completely random. Obviously the shiny tiles, fuck Ita, fuck local Yakus. Let's talk about two hands, those are the more interesting ones. Double riichi, who cares? You see the riichi button on the first turn, slam it. It's already two hand. Yeah, you didn't really work anything, completely RNG. Didn't work for it at all, just got a free hand, that's great. Triple triplets, shit Yaku. Very hard to get. Don't force it ever. It's the same two hand, even open or closed, but never force it. Just sometimes, you know, if you're pawning like those three bamboos on this and those three pins, and you see maybe I have some three mans, maybe think about it, but not really. Three quads, you will never see it unless you're playing Sanma or you have brain damage. All triplets, you probably see it a lot in silver. That's not a really good Yaku. Sometimes you get up for it. The reason it's not good is because it's hard to get those triplets. It makes your hand usually vulnerable because all of those pawns, the amount of points you get is not very high. This is only two hand. Usually you combo it by doing like something like this East, if the Yakwai or like a dragon, and then it becomes three hand, sometimes 44 for like 5,000 points. So it's not bad, but usually the weight is shit. The way to Tenpai is shit. It's very hard to get those triplets, even though you can pawn them. And the other possibility of it, the 7 pairs, is easier. So a lot of times what happens in silver pairs, and I did it as well. You see 4 pairs, you're like, Pog, in 4 pawns, I'm in triplet Tenpai. Pawn, 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 pawn. Don't do it. If you are at 4 pairs, think to yourself, I am like 4 pawns away from Tenpai, but I'm also 2 draws away from Chitoi Tenpai, which is bigger value. Why is 7 pairs bigger value? Because you can also reach it. That's crazy. You can get big Uradoras, you can get Ipatsu, you can get Sumo. Always try to keep your hand closed. Also, bigger defense. So if you have 4 or 5 pairs, think about pairs, don't think about triplets. If some of your pairs are starting to you're starting to draw random triplets, or if those triplets, as I said before, are not like middle tiles, like those shit ones, are like maybe honors and terminals, you have a better chance of getting them, and then maybe you should think about it. 3 concealed triplets, completely random, don't think about it. If you do have 3 concealed triplets, remember it's a Yaku open or closed. As long as those triplets are closed, you can like chi, you can pawn on something else, and it will be fine. Like, a lot of times it's a bit weird when you have something like this. Like, let's say I have all of those in my hand, and then I chi on the 3 bamboo here for like my 4-5. It will still be a Yaku, because all those closed triplets are in my hand. Little T dragons, if you're not Choco, don't think about it. All terminals and honors. A lot of times this happens if you're doing like all triplets with really good tiles. Try to sometimes not be in this picture and keep like an east. Try to make it into the other terminal, because then you'll get a Yakuman. All terminals is a Yakuman. But yeah, sometimes you get to this. It's just an upgrade to the all triplets. Not a big deal. 7 pairs, as I said, it's really good. Every bad hand is just a few tiles away from 7 pairs Tenpai. It's not a good hand to force. like to I mean, I'm not really forced, but like it's not always gonna end up in tenpai. So you should not. If you really need tenpai, don't go for it. Like if you must have tenpai, like fourth place or something like that. But if it's the closest thing you have, then it's the closest thing you have. 7 pairs also great with generating value. Like I can do 7 pairs. Just like you see it's on the 2-hand table. That's just 2-hand Peleg. But if I say riichi and then I say Tsumo and then I say uratu, that's already Haneman. That's not really fair. Also, it allows for really good weights because you can make trap weights like on honor tiles. When you're doing like riichi on a tile that no one wants, like a win tile or something, a lot easier to get than some other weights. Have outside hand. A lot of work for very little value. 2-hand closed, you almost never see it closed. 1 hand after opening, you sometimes see people go for it, but it's really hard to make. Don't force it ever. Pure straight and mixed triple sequence. Big yakus. Those are the 2 brothers of 2-hand yakus you're gonna be working with, and sometimes even opening for. Pure straight is the worst one. Why? Because pure straight a lot of times ends up with bad weights. We said we hate bad weights. Fuck bad weights. A lot of times when you're making a pure straight, the end will end up on like a 7-9 waiting for the 8, or maybe a 3-1 waiting for the 2, whatever. The chance of you getting a double-sided weight with this kind of hand, usually low. So, and forcing it also means you're keeping a lot of tiles of the same color, and then it's kind of hard getting more tiles. And yeah, it's just kind of a hard thing to do. If your hand is close to it, like if you have, let's say, everything like from the 3 to the 9, you should think about it. And maybe if you also have a good weight, like if you have 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, and then you have a 4, maybe keep this 4. Maybe it will draw a 5, and then you'll have a chance to making pure straight. So it's not that bad. Sometimes you want to open your hand for it if you really need to make a fast hand. It's a bit easier to work with an open hand than keeping it closed. But yeah, it's not the best one. Mixed triple sequence. This one's a lot harder to see. Any new player sees a 1 to 9, like on the pure straight, and is like poke, 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 poke. This though, you need to look at a lot of blocks before they finished and notice something similar between them. So obviously you get this by having 3 sequences with the same, exact same blocks. It's a bit better because it's very easy to finish as a double-sided weight. Let's say instead of the 1, 2, 3, I have like a 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5 here, 3, 4, 5 here, 3, 4, 5 here, or maybe here just a 4, 5. Then I riichi because I know like there is a chance I don't get it with a 6, which is fine. Or I can get it with a 3. You see, a lot of times with this pure straight and the mixed triple sequence, you'll have like a 2-sided weight that one gets the yaku, one does not. And because of that, it's very important to riichi. It's very important to be humble and take whatever you can get. Don't be like, no, I must have the mixed triple sequence. I'm gonna skip the run and wait for my specific tile. No, that's not a good idea. 3-hand. Twice pure double sequence. It's a bit of a special hand. Let me close the note, but I think it kind of blocks it, yeah. You don't really see it a lot. It's a rare yaku, and it's special because you see this hand is also 7 pairs. A lot of players are getting this hand. Wait, why didn't I also get 7 pairs? Some hands block each other. Twice pure double sequence block 7 pairs. You can't, as much as like you can see like both of those hands work together, only the biggest hand applies, and because this hand will be looked at as 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, it won't be looked as the 7 pairs it's also at. Because this is the bigger hand. You always, when you finish it, when someone's scoring a hand, it looks as the best possible situation for scoring wise. So you pick the bigger hands. So if you have twice pure double sequence, it's not 7 pairs. It's very hard to get, as that pure double sequence is random. So obviously, twice pure double sequence is also random. It's basically when you're making a pair hand and all the pairs are close to each other for some reason. It just happens. Fully outside hand, not very good. Not that bad either. A lot of times you get it along with mixed triple sequence, and then you can open your hand for it, and then your hand just becomes something like mixed triple sequence, which is 1 on open, then fully outside hand, 2 on open. So that's 3. That's already a good amount of points. Usually you want to get 3 or 4 hand. That's where the good scores lie at. So that's not that bad. Keep in mind if your hand is like have a lot of blocks with those terminal tiles. Don't force it though, Like only if your hand looks really ready for it. Half flush. You probably see so much of it. Why? Because it's broken. Half flush is busted. Yes. Half flush is the gateway to value. It's a free two hand that you need. You don't even need your brain on, because when you keep only the same of one color, and we'll talk about more about full flush in a bit, the hand just works by itself. Not only discarding becomes a lot easier, because I can just just drop all the bamboo, drop all the pins. I don't need to think. I just drop anything that's not honor or color of like my specific color. It's easy to do. It gives you easy to hand even after open. You usually open this kind of hand. And usually when you have the same amount of color of all your tiles, they just work together. It's very hard to have a lot of the same color of tiles and they not just fit themselves into random blocks. This is good. When do you go for it? It's very hard to say. Probably when you have enough blocks. I'll probably show an example in a bit because it's a special hand of when you actually force the half flush. Because unlike those other Yakus where like, you can try to make them while doing other stuff, a half flush is half flush. You're basically telling not only yourself, but everyone on the board, everyone, I'm doing a color hand. They'll see that you're not dropping that color. Everyone will be like, okay, he's doing a color hand. I'm not going to drop his color. If you're in higher elo, in lower elo, they won't see it as much. But it's a big decision for you, because it means you're kind of locking yourself into this. And the upgrade of it, the full flush. If you can get yourself rid of those honors, that's great. If not, then not. You see, this is not really 6, it's 5. You won't really get this closed. But you might think to yourself, but what if I get the red 5? That's a really good tile to get in a full flush, because it's upgraded from the 5 to 6, which makes it the Hanuman. That's such an easy value force. You're basically just picking a color. If you had the red 5 of it, easy Hanuman, doesn't matter what kind of like, what your hand was. You can open it. You don't need crazy stuff. You don't need crazy shiny tiles. Already Hanuman. Very, very strong. Now, I don't want to make you guys into a color losers. Those are swarming in gold. I'll show you how and when to make color hands. Oh, I can show you actually an example of when to not make a color hand. This was a good example. Of this stupid Reina. So currently, you already probably see this isn't a color hand. When you're making a color hand, you need to have a lot of the same color, good blocks of it, and not anything faster contesting. Again, we want speed. This 5, 6 and this 2, 3, not droppable. Great blocks. So for now, the Reina does not really see a half flush. She knows it's good blocks. She probably thinks about it because she keeps this 5 instead of the south and green, or the 9, which are much weaker. As I said, the 6 kind of blocks the 9. Those are honor tiles. But she wants first place for some reason. What she doesn't know, she can just sumo any hand, and we're going into West rounds and she's in a better spot. She can run this Kaguya for a 2-hand hand and get second place probably. Like, she has so many good options. She needs to be a bit scared of 4th place. And instead she's just going for force value. And again, this is forced. She should not force this. She's dropping her other tiles to go for something in the bamboo. She might not even get there. Like, imagine right now she like cheese twice on those bamboos. What will her hand look like? 1 random bamboo, 2 honor tiles, and 1 random tile that's not of the color. And when you have 0, and when your tiles are not near each other at all, that's a really bad spot. You don't want random tiles that are not near anything. When you're making half flush at the very least, you want to already have all of your blocks. Like, I would understand if maybe she had like, a pair on the 1 bamboo, maybe a pair on one of those dragons, those honor tiles. Like then, like you could tell yourself, okay, then she pawns, she cheese, and then maybe she standby. But it's so stupid to drop the 5, 6 and the 2T. And as we talked about, really, really strong, stronger than a random 6, 8, 9, stronger than a random lone tiles. A hand could have been tenpai really quick.
Pong.
This is a bad time to go for half flush. This is a force. Let's see a good time to go for half flush. Can say I would really remember right now. A game I 100% went for half flush. So I'm just gonna look for a few games that maybe I got first place in. Just to make myself look good. None here. No, here the Mickey might think about it, but again, you should never force it. If you have a tenpai, you take the tenpai. You don't really force it into a random color hand. Really, no one? No one it is. I'll search another game. This is just important. If you're wondering why I have 18 bonded girls and I'm only using one of them, is because I'm superstitious and I believe in streaks. If someone is not getting thoughts, I'm gonna keep using them. Okay, she went for full flush. She didn't really get there, but we can look at this as an option. Playing the same characters and it's just not bonded because she's poor or something. Lol. So why does she want the full flush? Well, we see most of her hand is the same color, right? Now let's look at the blocks. She has this 7, 8, 9, right? That's great. She has this 3, 4, 5, but it's a 3, 4, 4, 5. We talked about this. It's a cool block. We can also see it as like a 3, 4 and then a 4, 5. It's very easy for this to be 2 blocks. We can say this is 2 blocks. And this is another one. And maybe the east becomes a block. I don't see it right now, but she kind of missing the blocks for it. I right now would not say this is full flush. But maybe she draws some tiles that change her mind. Because the 6, 7, really hard to drop. 5, 7, not as strong, but still, it's a block. But she draws another tile. So that's fine for her to drop this 2 pin. Doesn't matter this 2 pin or the east. But she draw another one of the Manzu tiles. That's already... You can look at it as one block, one finished block, and one non-finished, this 3, 4. Or you can even be really greedy and think this is 2 blocks, this 3, 4, 4, 5 as we said, and also this 6, 8, 9, 8, 7, 6 is a block. Or these are like those 5 tiles in one sequence. Like you can see it is a 6, 7 and then an 8, 9. You can somehow say this is 4 blocks, but it's very much a force. You really, not enough reason to drop the 6, 7. Now her east got dropped. I doubt she'll keep it. Yeah. Now, what happened here is she draw another Manzu tile, but it doesn't really finish her block. Now like 3, 4 became a 3, 3, 4. Now you can start thinking about it, because you can be like, oh, I have like 2 blocks here, 2 blocks here. She really needs just one more Manzu tile, and it enables this full flush. But as she smartly doesn't do, she still doesn't like drop something like this 6, 7. Okay. Big draw for her. This is 1 away from tenpai. For possibly pure double sequence. 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5. And with this very nice red 5. Then she has the 6, 7, 8. When she can drop the 9 off. And then it's also all simples. And then if she draws the 5 or the 7, that's also painful. That's great. And she's dealer. That's a Mangan hand. Maybe 12k or maybe even Haneman for 18k. The smart player here would either drop this 9-man. Or maybe it will grid and we drop one of those 5 and 7. Because you can also say liquid the 6, 7, 8, 9 as like a double pair weight. Like it can also draw the 9 or the 6. And she does that. Faster though would be to drop the 9. Probably also correct. And why? And this 7 drop is also fine. I think from here she doesn't actually go for the full flush, she just never gets to tenpai. Bit funny, if she kept the 5-7, this would be tenpai for a very big hand for her. I guess Spanish, but this is riichi. And I don't think she did it.
riichi.
Oh, she did. Okay, never mind. She's smart. Okay, it just looked like full flush. I didn't look at it good. But yeah, this is a good hand. This is painful. She did the correct choice. Sometimes a greedier player here would dot riichi. You also drop the 6-7, try to get more Manzu tiles. Not only this full flush is a bit good to go for because the Dora tile is this 2 Manzu. She didn't go for it though, she just took her probably Mangan hand. Very much correct. A bad player, or someone who really needs value, might drop the 6-7 instead. But let's try to look if there was any other color hands. Oh, this is a half flush. A bit of a special half flush because it was Yakuman Tenpai. And I was in riichi. Ooh, that's scary. I didn't know I was there. I guess lucky me, right? Well, probably not much to think about this when you have a possible Yakuman and a very big value. You just go for it, right? We said value means to go faster. So here, at the very least, this is Haneman for having like 3 little dragons and half flash. You already have all the blocks, right? We said we use for half flash. The red dragon is a block, the green dragon is a block, the white dragon is a block, the 5, 6, 7 is a block, and the 1 is a block. That's your 5 blocks. You don't need any other tiles. Easy for him. The other tiles don't even are not even in blocks. He just calls the pawns. Very easy for him. Doesn't even need to keep the bamboo. Already has enough blocks. Doesn't need to make some kind of 6-8.
Pawn.
You won't see this in ranked. This is rare. You don't need to think about... I mean, when someone has a double dragon pawn, you should be a bit afraid of wrapping the third one, for sure. But it does not mean you need to 100% fold. Like, what I see here, from my point of view, he just got 2 dragons. And he's probably going for half flash. You see he dropped the bamboo and the manzu. So, probably will have a big hand. Wait, he skipped Ron here? He did. I guess he was just that greedy. Oh, never mind. It was not a tenpai here. This is a bit new. Let's talk about the situation. What happens if someone does drop this 1 pin? If he gets the 1 on the 1 pin, it would, I think, just be Haneman. Yeah, it will be Haneman. If you want to gain points and climb, run on the Haneman. Don't greed for the Yakuman. If you want to have fun, wait for the Yakuman. I won't blame you for trying to have fun.
Riichi.
But I get riichi here, and as the dealer, early riichi, good riichi, I obviously take it. I had no idea, like I knew he had 2 pawns, I knew he might have a scary hand, but the chance of him being in tenpai is low. The chance of him having the third dragon is low. I don't have the third dragon, so I just say riichi. And this is extremely lucky. I didn't know he had something this scary. Let's see if the wall was gonna help him. The wall was gonna help him, Jesus. Who was gonna draw it? Let's say... I was gonna draw it. If he did not draw this, I would deal into Yakuman on my third discard. Lucky for me, for sure. Did not know I was in such high waters. Let's look if there is an actual half flash which someone needed to force. Or try to force. Oh, he just died here. That's unlucky for him. Having a Yakuman and then dying. Okay, I can really find this color hand, so maybe we'll just won't talk about it. But basically, as I said, you need blocks. You need ready blocks. Maybe like a Yakuhai to pawn with if you're doing half flash. And yeah, it's basically just having a high amount of color tiles of the same color and having a block. And maybe also the other tiles are not good. Like if you have some of the, if you had like other color, it's like shiny tiles, you'll probably keep it. If you have other color that's like a nice 6-7, you keep it because it's fast. Don't think there is a color hand here. Not here. You don't see it as much in a high level play. You see it a lot in the tournaments, they're doing once per year. Because on those, usually there is not red 5s. If there is not red 5s, it's a lot harder to find value. Yeah, not here. But I hope you... Maybe one time someone will talk about his failed half flash. And I'll be able to review his log and talk about why it was not good to go there, why it was correct to go there and he just got unlucky. Whatever. I think we're almost close to done. I was talking about Yakua. Yeah, I finished about that. I have my points here. We can do how to climb. We talked about scoring. We talked about Yakus. We talked about the value. Oh, we talked about almost everything. That's good. Yeah. Just grand strategy. What's grand strategy is kind of what we talked about on the Reina situation. Knowing who are your opponents, what is gonna be their play, and what are they going for. So like in that situation, we knew that the first and second place are gonna race for the first and second place. The third place might also try to go for it, but at the same time you should play safe. So it was very easy to think that the first and the second place are gonna reach to Tenpai. They don't really care about me. They just care about getting to tenpai first. And this is very important because if you know how every player is gonna play, you can end up with more third place. You see all those thirds I got? Those thirds were very close to being fourth, as you saw. A lot of times thirds is just barely escaping a fourth. And a third, you don't lose any LP. I lose like minus 20 on a third, while I lose like minus 260 on a fourth. So like a third is not even 10% of a fourth. The only way to not climb is by getting thirds. And the same shows with stats. Oh, this is a nice stat site I already pinned in the EU-Core channel. We go to Peleg. This is my Jade games, and you already see what makes a player climb up, having low forts. Just low forts. Obviously, it's nicer to have first and seconds, but as long as you don't have forts, it's good. Now, this has my entire Jade games. It will look a lot bad if I had my gold games. I was stuck in gold for a while and I was trash. This will look even a lot better if we eliminate the time I was stuck in Master 1, Master 2. I was stuck in Master 2 for a while, then I got Master 3 and demoted. For example, if we just look at last year, this will look a lot better. You see, the more you refine your play strategy, if you just want to be forts. If we look at this year, it wasn't as strong right now. I had a very big streak last year, but this year will also be kind of similar. You see, just not forts. It's fine to get a third, it's fine to get a seconds. Anything but forts. Now, also, this is a good site. You can see a lot of nice stuff in it. Like you can see this year, I dama 12% of my hand. I call 26.5 of the times I can. You can see the amount of times I deal in. You can open even crazier stats. Like you can see in riichi, how many times do I win my riichi? How many times do I get chased? How many times did I get Ipatsu? How much time was I chased? How much time was my hand good during it? How much side was like multi-sided? Like, not a bad weight. As you saw, something like Pinfu. How many turns does it take to get riichi? How many times are they Furitan? Let's show you a nice curve for your games. You can see frequent opponents. Like show which opponents you end up here. Near. If I do like I see all, it will be a bit better. Lucky, this will show how many Yakumans. You can see the total per recent high loss. I did deal into Yakuman a year and a half ago. Into 13 offense. Was annoying. It was very late into the match. You can see your plays you fought before. It won't show many interesting players, just usually random Japanese names I did not even know I fought before. I don't know why it's loading so slow. I guess because it's calculating like 1,500 games. Like I had a good amount of games. It is nice a lot of times in ranked, especially if you're on like the Mahjong Soul channel. And in higher ranks, you do see sometimes other people, sometimes I am like in a match, I'm like, oh, this guy I know him, so I ping him on Discord. I have no idea who these players are though. Sometimes you just get random people you have no idea about a lot of time. The matchmaking system does not try to pair you to the same players more and more, because they don't want people to cheat. You can cheat by like being in cahoots with the other player. So yeah, you don't like all of my like 1,500 games. Most was one guy where I faced him 4 times. This is a really nice stat page. You can look at anyone that has gold games. So let's say if I look at Steamoro, it will just show his gold games. See, only gold. It won't calculate anything silver. You can see his gold adventure was not as good. If we look at someone else, let's say Neil. Give us a bit better stat calculation, because you have a good enough. Usually, when you do stats, you need a good amount of games. This is not that big. From 300, 400 is a good amount to make stats, but this already shows a nice even graph, a good climbing thing. You can see stats, you can see maybe some of his problem. Maybe Neil calls a bit too much. Maybe you should dama more, maybe you should dama less. Dama is when you don't reach your hand. I'm not teaching this because you should not do this until very high ranks. Though Neil did do a correct one in the tournament. If you already know how to do it, it's great. I just want to put a thought in your head about Dama, because it's something that happens in Gold. People think, okay, riichi is just minus 1k points. Why call riichi? I hate riichi. Riichi is no mistake. I never riichi. And that's an even bigger no mistake. A lot of people end up thinking like that. They're doing bad hands that should have been riichi. Just say riichi. Don't think about it a lot. And yeah, this is poke site. I think that's it. Got up most of the stuff. No, I'm not gonna do a 10 summon. Fuck this ninja girl. I think I'm done. Okay. So, yeah. It's a good thing I'll have it as a VOD. Maybe I'll upload to like YouTube. So now if any of you jackasses say, Peleg, I can't read the riichi book, my eyes don't work, my brain does not work. Well, here you can listen to me telling you most of the stuff the riichi book says, the important stuff. Because I guess your ears do work. Maybe they don't. Maybe you're stupid. I hope not. If you're in silver, I don't know. Maybe it is the case. Yeah, you should feel called out. But yeah, it's always fun for me to teach kind of stuff like that. So thanks for watching. And if I feel it's needed to do more of these, maybe I will. See you guys next weekend for my cool tournament.